trying not to grin like a serial killer after signing his papers as my mind whirled with ideas of what I could do with all that money. There was only one condition in Lil's respect, and that was that I read some letters she left me. Like any young kid, I wanted everything like that guava, and someone just handed me a golden ticket. I raced home to tell my parents. My mom cried and called it a gift from God. My dad didn't know, oh man, there must be a mistake because of me. But my family was struggling, so eventually the gift won. I grew up knowing that my parents would never retire unless I could help them out, and they were in danger of losing the house. I paid off their mortgage that same month. But there was a strange feeling as Mrs. Miller's first day in a brand new car. I know it's the same thing to say, when a old woman's dead, best day of my life. So I felt guilty each time I passed that familiar overgrown Dart and now empty rocking chair. I got a sense of darkness from the place. It was like the clouds hung heavier over it. Even the trees bent as if weighed down. It was the but I wanted nothing to do with it, even without the crushing feeling I got every time I went so close. An old lady's decayed body laid on that body would roar with peace. The thought folded my mind the more I tried avoiding it. One night, I remembered the letter she wrote from the will. I had completely forgotten my excitement. I grabbed my backpack and ordered Will's letter picked up. Once I dashed out of that lawyer's office, the envelope was wax sealed. Inside, the paper was thick with crisp. The handwriting was shaky cursive that I struggled to make out. It read, "I'll start by offering my sincerest apologies. I know that it more you than you will hear, but I beg you to honor an old woman's dying wish. Find the wooden jewelry box with the red velvet lining. You must understand what I have truly given you." That note consumed my every thought until finally I couldn't delay. I resolved to just grab the box, renovate and sell the house, and put it out of my mind. Every impulse screamed at me to turn back with each step of those crumbling stairs, but I forced myself forward. The moment my hand closed around the rusted door, a shudder passed me. I shrugged it off. It barely stood out dramatic as it. After everything Mrs. Miller had left me, the least I could do was fix her house and pass it on to some nice family. There was no light inside. Her power had been shut off for so long, and even in the early afternoon, no sunlight passed through the filthy windows and curtains. I steeled myself and embraced my flashlight, just to clutter of old furniture, musty books, dusty trinkets, and sticky carpet that folded my shoes as I cautiously walked in. I shuddered and tried not to think of what that might be. In the entire downstairs, there was no sign of the box she left for me. I hoped it would be easy for me to go upstairs. The body had been in the master bedroom where she died, hopefully peaceful in her sleep. I forced down my revulsion and ignored the prickling of my skin and marched with the carpeted steps up the too narrow staircase, past wall portraits that I could almost brush with my shoulders. It was like the walls got closer the further up I went. Of course, I may have been imagining things. My foot hit the top landing with a wet squelch. In an agonized scream, I jumped back and fell down the entire staircase. The only thing that kept me from bolting forever was the fear that fossilized me in place where I landed. The flashlight cut through the darkness just enough for me to make out the eyes of a very large rat trying to scramble away with its now crushed hind legs. Its oil black eyes shone in darkness, swirling with terror. I wonder sometimes what would have happened if I turned back then, if I had the house demolished and moved to the other side of the world. But of course, instead I told myself it was just an animal, and that if I checked the upstairs now, I'd never have to come back. So I continued, opening each door wondered if there was an attic I could check instead of opening the last door. But the only thing I could think of worse than going into Mrs. Miller's bedroom was standing in that claustrophobic hallway with a crippled rat dying somewhere in the shadows any longer than I had to. I was kicking myself for not bringing someone with me as I pushed the heavy door open. The smell is hard to forget. Even the burn of bleach couldn't fully cover the stench of human decay. The cleaners were professionals, but I doubt most deaths were this hard to erase. Mr. Stevens had said she'd been partially liquid. The heat of summer and stagnant air had only intensified the nauseating smell on the humid air drowning my lungs. My only saving grace was that an ornate wooden jewelry box's polished cherry wood leaned on the dresser as my flashlight beamed on it. I grabbed it and fled without a backward glance. Only when I was home did I think to check for a red velvet lining. I unlatched the lid with shaking fingers and found the red lining as well as another letter. This one was old. It had been folded and refolded until the creases softened to fibers, but the writing was sharper and clearer than the last. This letter read, I'm afraid I've given you a great fortune and a terrible fate. If there's a way to be rid of it, heaven knows I've tried. May your luck be better than mine. I crumpled the stupid note in my hand. Furious, the old woman had forced me through her decrepit death trap of a house just for a scrap of superstition. I tried to rip it up, but just got paper cuts. So I flung it in the fireplace instead and lit a nice blaze. When I checked later, though, the paper wasn't even singed. I dumped it in the sink and tried to bleed the ink away, but droplets beaded up and rolled off the page. In my dad's home office, the shredder jammed as soon as the edge of the paper touched the blades. With each attempt, I grew more and more frantic, and my suspicion that the curse was true rose. The last thing I tried was to bury the box with a note locked inside it in the yard of Mrs. Miller's, now my house. Relief was immediate, and I didn't see the box until a few days later when I tripped over it on my front doorstep. I kept the box in hand, shoved it as far as I could to the back of my closet under piles of clothes and blankets. At least that way I didn't have to see it. Life was good for a while after. I gave generously to charities, decided that at least some good should come from this, and hopefully earn myself some good karma. I set up funds for my parents' retirement. They'd never have to work another day if they didn't want it. I helped my uncle's restaurant get out of debt. I spent the last month of my summer traveling the world, and I bought the most beautiful engagement ring money could buy. Back to college for my senior year, I thrived in the knowledge of my financial security. The only classes I took were the ones I was genuinely interested in. My roommate struggled with money, though, just as I had before. I heard his worry-filled phone calls home and watched him wilt under the pressure of his full course load and 2 jobs. So, I secretly set up a scholarship fund just for him that conveniently paid for all his costs. I thought maybe this was the answer. Giving the money away to keep me safe from whatever Mrs. Miller had thought was tied to it. That was until I came back from class early one day to see my roommate hanging from the ceiling. Even worse, he'd still been alive. Staring into his bulging eyes, I witnessed the last second of life before he went limp. It had been too late to save him from his own hands. My mental breakdown followed swiftly after. I dropped out and moved home, still haunted by his discolored, distorted face, my dreams. I fell into a type of religious fervor after that. My devout mother was surprised, but ultimately pleased, that her prodigal son returned to church with her. I prayed with desperation. I tithed an entire $1 million. I attended every service and event in the church I hadn't set foot in since my childhood. Then I got news of the church fire, a freak accident with a candle, the pastor's family, and the entire fire had been inside. No survivors, nothing left but ashes to bury. The box hidden deep in my closet burned in the back of my mind. Whatever doubts I had before were gone now. The first thing I did after the mass funeral was break up with my girlfriend. We'd been high school sweethearts and were talking about getting married as soon as she got her degree, 1 year after me. She was, and still is, the love of my life. That's why I had to do anything I could to save her from this thing that follows me. It takes everything I care about. I could never answer when she asked why. She didn't believe my half-hearted excuses. She knew me too well. I saved voicemails that are just the sound of her crying with my answering machine. Maybe I'm just ripping my own heart out over and over again, but I've replaced them countless times. It's sweet melancholy to know that at one point I was loved. I've ended every casual fling over the years the second things could have become more. I still have that engagement ring I bought for her. Whether or not it stopped the nightmare that had become my life, I wanted that house gone. I hired landscapers to renew the yard, exterminators for the rats, and the best renovation company I could find to completely overhaul the Miller house. Anytime they asked me for my opinion on tile or paint color, I told them to do what they thought best. I refused to go near it. My only demands was that they completely gut the master bedroom, the drywall, the ceiling. I even made them replace the beams of the walls, which took some incredible feats of engineering. I begged them every time they wanted to.
Yes!
Accidents were frequent and severe. In the end, the contractor stayed. They charged me an arm and a leg, which was also what a team member happened to have lost, but left me with a beautiful new-looking building. Plenty of families came to the open house. My realtor gave countless tours, but offer after offer got retracted. I lowered the asking price each time until the entire home was worth less than the repairs I'd put in. No takers. I couldn't have paid someone to live there. When a squatter was found dead, crushed by a fallen chandelier, the house started to get a reputation around town, and so did I. By then, I was a recluse, speaking to no one and fighting with my family as I tried to pull away. I sped out of our driveway with just one suitcase and that damn box as my mother screamed for me to wait. I moved to an apartment 2 towns away, one that was basically failing and had as few residents as possible. I can't even count the years I wallowed there. It didn't matter though. Eventually my family and friends stopped reaching out, and I told myself it was for the best. You can't shut people out forever though. Solitary confinement is torture. People go crazy from it. Family is much harder to break away from than anyone else. Maybe if I was stronger, I could have. The guilt still eats at me from the inside. I'd check up on them, drive by their home as night fell, just to see if the lights were on, or to possibly glimpse my parents through a window. I'd get the local paper and scan for obituaries, hoping not to find them. When my uncle died, I wasn't even surprised. The paper said the restaurant cracked his head. I wish I'd never given him the money he needed to keep it. I wish I'd left sooner. My mom tried to reach out to invite me to the funeral. She must not have known if I could get the message. But I never changed my number out of some lingering hope that one day I'd break the curse, come back, and maybe I could unbreak my family's heart. The last time she called, it was the time when she and my dad both had lung cancer. Turns out the house I paid off had asbestos and never known about. It was terminal by the time they found out. I went home to spend whatever time they had left with the family. My dad died within a month of me returning. My mom just a week after. I confessed everything to my mom, comatose in a hospice bed. I'll never know whether she heard me. She never woke up. The last stage of grief isn't acceptance. It's just numbness. After burying my parents, I moved into the Miller house. I could feel that it wanted me, and it had been waiting. I had no one left and no one else. I tried to fight the curse with priests, witches, exorcists, and paranormal investigators. I even tried a fortune teller who took one glimpse of me and tossed me out on the street. Nothing lifted the darkness. Over these long years, I've lain in bed most nights and wondered why she chose me. Was mine the only name she remembered with her adult brain? Then I found her diary. Last week, I felt compelled to open the jewelry box and read the letter again. This time, as I looked at the door, I noticed how strangely shallow the box was in time. The velvet bottom came up easy, and I saw the worn notebook with a window. In it, Mrs. Mary filled her life with a clean purse. Through countless generations, tragedy followed the middle heirs. Each time the wealth passed on, it grew, became stronger. The curse has grown stronger. Mrs. Miller herself lost all her children before she passed. But even as her mind and body started to disintegrate, the curse kept her alive. The only way to escape it is to pass it on. And so I'm choosing my heir at random. The thought of picking someone else to receive grief even worse than I've had is too cruel to think of. I've taken every name in the U.S. white pages, sorted them alphabetically, and generated a random number. It can't be default that way. It's a 1 in 330 million chance, and sometimes unlucky body line. It'll be my time soon. I feel the weight grows heavier. Gasping for air. The doctor says, but I refuse treatment. I can't stop.
Are you paying for? Rocket Money finds sneaky or forgotten subscriptions and makes canceling them as easy as clicking a button. On average, Rocket Money users save over $720 a year. Here's how it works. Just open the app, go to the recurring tab, and here you can see all your recurring subscriptions. Tap on the subscription you want canceled, then tap Cancel Now, and you're done. Subscription canceled. No confusing websites, no snoozer news, no single time. Want to save up to $720 a year? Don't wait, get Rocket Money right now.
Have you ever lost someone you love? Someone who was such an important part of your life that losing them ripped everything out of you and left you with nothing but an emptiness? I have. Grief does things to a person. It can destroy them, and the scars will never heal. Not really. Suddenly the world seems like a darker place. You wish you'd had more time, and you cling to the memory. In today's video, a young reporter goes to an... Kilroy was always late. It was a fact I'd become acutely aware of in the brief time I'd known the woman. Whenever we had a job, she was always late. This night was no different. I witnessed in Lennoxing back and forth between the hotel's entrance and the dashboard clock. It was more than 20 minutes past our scheduled meet time. Any minute now, she'd come barreling through the front doors of the swanky five-star joint where our employees put her up, black coffee in one hand and black briefcase in the other. She'd get in the passenger seat without a word and fuss with her dirty blonde ponytail and huff and puff like it was my fault she wasn't on time. And God help me if I opened my mouth. It wasn't working. It was another fact I'd become acutely aware of the very first night we met. I liked her way though, all things considered. We seemed to work well together. She didn't give a shit about my time or what it was worth, and she wasn't the friendliest. But when it came to the job, the info on the job, the value of the job, doing the job, she was rock solid. She was certainly a fine piece of ass too. Not that I'd ever ruin a fruitful working relationship by taking a shot. Almost as if on cue, Kilroy finally burst out of the hotel and made her way across the street where I'd been parked with my headlights on. Same black briefcase, same ponytail, but a coffee in each hand this time. Kilroy juggled the coffees in the briefcase and opened the passenger door, sliding into the seat next to me. Wordlessly, she thrust one of the coffees in my direction. Oh, thanks, I said, surprised. For someone with Kilroy's personality, this felt like an act of uncharacteristic warmth. She ignored me and flipped open the ebony briefcase, sipping her coffee as she thumbed through the papers within. The papers with the info on the job. The info on the person we were supposed to kill. I figured that Kilroy probably wasn't her real last name. I only assumed that the name I'd given her, Taggart, was also fake, a kind of mask assigned by our employers. In this line of work, it's been the least amount of information possible about your partners, your employer, even the targets. Hell, especially the targets. Made it easier. For me, anyway. No sense getting caught up in who did what or why. Deserved had nothing to do with it. I didn't know shit about Kilroy. Didn't know shit about our employer, Detley. And I didn't know shit about most everyone who killed. I waited patiently for Kilroy to speak in handing the manila envelope, which contained the most information I normally get on the target. Their picture. I didn't really take any pride or enjoyment in this line of work. It's just something I happened to stumble into years back when my drinking was at its worst and my debts had run too high, and I found myself in a very literal kill or be killed scenario. But my sister goes with her back, well, you don't really know until the time comes. And then I had, over the years, word of how good I was at the killing part would inevitably make its way to men like Detley, unscrupulous, rich, and connected, with an unending stream of unlucky people in their orbit who else doing away with. Kilroy was good too. Didn't flinch, but didn't take too much pleasure in the shit either. We made a good team. I sipped the scorching black coffee. Not my preferred way to take it, but you wouldn't hear me complaining. As Kilroy finally opened the mouth and got to the point. The job's about 45 miles outside the city, right on the outskirts of some podunk Vernon, big house, a derelict old Victorian. She pushed her glasses up to the window as she passed the envelope. I nodded. 2 targets, Kilroy continued, taking a deep gulp of her drink. One's an elderly woman, the other... She trailed off as I took a look at the 2 black and white photos contained within the folder. The first was an older, well-off looking woman. She wore a garish dress and a kind of valuable-looking pearl necklace that men broke into houses and killed for. The photo depicted her smiling widely at some kind of social function. She wasn't quite the most harmless-looking person I've ever killed, but it was close. Like I said, though, it's a waste getting caught up in that. For whatever reason, this was someone Detley needed done, and we were on his dime, so we'd do her. I moved on to the second photo, nestled behind, and for the first time in years and years and years, I was truly given pause. In the photo was a little boy, no more than 4, maybe 5 years old, grinning ear to ear, and hugging an old-timey tin toy robot to his chest, a massive Christmas tree making up the photo's background. I stared up at Kilroy, who was still nonchalantly sipping her coffee, incredulous. "This is the job," she said. She was firm, succinctly answering the million silent questions my face must have asked. Working for someone like Mr. Detley, the jobs aren't always easy. It won't always be gamblers and wise guys. I knew that. And she knew that I knew that. In the first month that I'd been in Detlef's employ, Kilroy and I had done a middle-aged sign while her kids slept in the rooms above us. And even before I'd entered Detlef's employ, it felt like I had some kind of self-deceptive moral code about who I would or wouldn't kill. I had no misconceptions about who I was, the things I'd done. I wasn't in the business of lying to myself. I was in the business of killing. A kid, though. An actual, literal child. Maybe this was a line I couldn't cross. It would have been something I'd have wanted to think of normally. Something I'd like the chance to turn down. But Kilroy and I both knew it didn't work that way. She'd worked for Detley much longer than I had. And it was clear they'd waited a few months to see how solid I really was to spring something like this on me. The thing was, with a boss as ruthless and brutal as Detley, there was no second guessing. The second I pulled up outside that hotel and waited for Kilroy to rush out with her coffee and her briefcase, I had agreed to kill Whoever was on the inside of that envelope, the way Kilroy spoke, it didn't seem that a job like this was all that uncommon. Not that my father's hatred was constantly murdering children, but just the idea that working with these people would push you further than you thought you could go. I think we work well together, Taggart. Kilroy broke the silence. And Mr. Bentley likes you. He trusts you. Jobs like this, they only go to the ones he trusts. She stared ahead as she spoke, not looking at me. The job is the job. The kid should be in an upstairs bedroom. The old woman watches TV in a den all hours of the night. Let's go. I nodded. She was trying to soften the blow a little, trying to make me feel like there was some upside to this. I just have to deal with it my own way. The way I dealt with all the others. It was work. The job is the job. I took one last look into the boy in the photo's eyes as I shut the folder and pulled the car forward to begin our drive. We made pretty good time. An easy drive. A little over an hour, and we only had a few minutes to go before we reached our destination. 18 Dawkins Way, just off Culver Road in Vernon. The sparse details Kilroy had given me, along with the address, were that the property was an isolated and dilapidated Victorian mansion out in the boonies and surrounded mostly by empty fields. An easy place to do what needed doing, anyway. I'd spent most of the drive alone with my thoughts. Kilroy and I didn't talk much on a normal trip, and I think we both sensed the increased tension of this particular ride. I know what I said about not worrying much about the people on these jobs, about not caring who they were. But again, these felt like special circumstances. A boy, and what I assumed was his grandmother. I kept thinking about the kid's smiling face, clutching his Christmas present. The more I thought, though, the weirder it seemed. The photos Kilroy provided were always black and white, but I got the distinct aura of this particular photo being from an older time, maybe even years and months ago. Something about that tin toy, the smiling boy held tight to his chest. Kilroy was there waiting at the passenger window as I cleared my throat to speak. Kilroy, she turned to face me. Doesn't something about the photo, I mean, of the kid, doesn't it seem a lot? Kilroy pointed her on. I did a good, solid work. A woman, a professional. But man, there's something wouldn't tell me that if there was ever a time to question a job, it was this moment. But I hope that whatever takes place on build up with Kilroy over the months would at least implore her to hear me out. She said nothing, simply raised her eyebrow and stared. I assumed this was an invitation to continue. Doesn't the picture look old to you? Like it's an old, tiny photo of a kid? Like whenever we get to where we're going, is there even gonna be a kid that age in this house?
Bro, they're all driving vehicles. Bruh. Yes! Let's go!